Tonight is the birthing of a brand new, beautiful celebration of Martin Luther King Jr., written by Douglas Tappan, who has been working on this project for 5 years. He's written beautiful music to chronicle the life of Dr. King in a way that we haven't seen before.
I'd like to ask, if possible, if Bernice King would come up and join us very briefly. I would like to ask Dee Dee, who played the role of Coretta so admirably this evening, to present her with a signed playbill from the entire cast of I Dream.
Well, of course, being the daughter of Martin and Coretta King, it was. I have mixed emotions. You know, it's very tough when you're actually viewing something that is depicting parts of the life of your parents, and so in many ways, I'm still kind of processing. There were moments that were very emotional for me, and I had to contain myself, especially near the latter part, and when the young lady did the song Queen as my mother, and just really still grieving her death and missing her, and wish she could really be here, because my mother loved classical music, opera music, and the music tonight was great. And as it progressed, it got much better and became very, very touching, and excellent voices. So I think it was a good musical reflection of my father. It's very hard, you know, to really put this movement on a stage. You know what I mean? Because there's so many elements to it. But I guess the greatest part of it is it's a start at exposing future generations to this work in a genre that they can appreciate. And that's what's most important, because we have to keep the legacy going from generation to generation. And so, you know, I was glad to be here tonight to be a part of this.
Overjoyed, relieved. That's the biggest thing for me, was to tell the story the right way. Not in a way that made them feel like I was defaming, especially Miss Coretta Scott King. Quentin has the same sentiment, so to have them all give the stamp of approval is absolutely amazing.
You know, you don't think, you feel. Just so powerful. Extremely well done. But it fills me up too much. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Well, I tell you, first of all, I had to remind myself that this was a novel. It's not a rewriting of history, but it's a novel growing out of the history of the movement. And I think it did well. I enjoyed it. I've never listened to the story in music, and that added a dimension that I've been missing, and so I enjoyed it very much. I gave him an A.
It brought back what was seemingly left out if you're dealing from a history book, but what only a novel and a play can do in terms of far more than the head. It really brought it back into very soul and spirit.
First of all, I think it's one of the best musicals I've seen in years. And I think it was a very difficult story to tell because there was so much to the story. But I do believe that the author did it wonderfully. I thought the singers were excellent. The talent was superb. I was so proud, and Maynard, my late husband, would have been so proud to know that all of the staff, with one exception, were from Atlanta.
Ladies and gentlemen, Christine King Ferris.
Brother, you know, knowing that they were in the house was very intimidating, you know, at first, and even now, you know, having a chance to meet them and see them for the first time ever in my life, and then having to meet them under this auspice, you know, from just doing the show of Dr. King, it's unbelievable, and the words really can't describe it. You know, I can't wait to really sit down with them some more and pick their brain a little bit, you know, as we progress and go forward. I would love to gain their wisdom, so I just can't wait to form a bond that will never be broken, so I'm blessed.
We're absolutely delighted. It wasn't something we took for granted. It was a bit of a risk,
particularly to do it in the capital of the civil rights movement. And we're just absolutely delighted and gratified to have had that stamp of approval. And not just in an official sort of way, but in an emotional manner too. That's the beauty of it all.
Because it's a very nerve-wracking evening because realizing that this is interpretive, and it's my interpretation of their history. And you're never certain whether people will accept it or reject it. And for the whole evening, I was sitting there waiting for people to get up and walk out, or start throwing stuff, or start cussing. And you know, I know it's a good show. I know it's a really good show. I know it's capable of moving people. But what you don't know is whether Atlanta will embrace it, and whether those whose story it is will embrace it. But to hear Joseph Lowry, he told me, you and me, we've got to talk. We've got to sit down and talk. And Christine King Ferris to say that it was moving. And so on and so on and so forth. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time to digest.